This time, it's personal.
Hello everybody out there in Rider Nation. Well, how's everybody doing after that drubbing? Unbelievable. That was a total beatdown right from the opening snap. Yeah, terrible, terrible, terrible. You know, the only loss that was worse than that one was against Montreal. There's no excuse to that game. Montreal should never beat us like they did that one time. That was a bad game, but this one, you know, I knew it would be a hard game to win, but I thought we'd at least stay in it. And we didn't. 6 possessions by Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and they take them all down for touchdowns. Just an absolute disaster. You know, I read a lot of the Rider fans said they turned the TV off. And that's when I really tune in, is when they're way behind or behind, and watch the players that are still giving a shit and playing their hearts out. And there was a few of them, but there was a few of them that were just putting in time. Like I said on my preview video, I couldn't believe how many people watched that. I got that up late. Maybe they thought I was putting the game on or something, but I'd like to thank everybody that watched that and everybody that subscribes. Like I said, makes this old guy's day when he gets one more subscriber and gets the comments. Get great comments on my page. But going back to whether players give up or not give up, I can name names, but I'll wait till my review in the end of the season. It'll all weigh whether they're worth keeping around. Like I said earlier in that video I was talking about when I put up before the game, you know, I said you got to stop that Oliveira. That's your number one priority. If he gets going, you're pretty well screwed, and that goes to any bloody team you play. You have to stop the running game first and foremost, and that's a job for the front seven, and they just could not stop him. And they had nobody covering him coming out of the backfield. You know, he was racking up mega yards in the first half. It was unbelievable. I just shake my head at that one. Move on to the next game here. That's against Edmonton. And they are starting to come on. I was happy to see them win, keep Calgary and them equally amount behind us, but I suspect they'll be kicking out our heels by the end of the season here. And that next game against Edmonton, let me tell you, that's a major one. At least we play them at home. We seem to do really crap away from home, that's for sure. On the offensive line, poor Jake, exactly what I said too. You know, you're not gonna be a fun day out there when you got 2 new offensive linemen, and that council that came in for Kelly, exactly what I was expecting. You know, Willie Jefferson ran around him like his feet were stuck in the mud. Virtually looked like his feet were stuck in the mud, and Willie just scoots around him, and there's nowhere for Jake to go. They're coming up the middle. Have to watch it again to see how good Bandy did. He didn't stand out anyway, but the council was absolutely horrible, and we could not establish any kind of running game to help Jake out. like the plays, they just don't, when they're doing the run, fake run pass option plays, you know, like the fake, the only person they're faking out is Jake. He gets basically in his way. That's about it. When he tries to hand the ball off and pull it out, it's certainly not faking any of the linebackers, which are supposed to come up and give you some opening for the receivers behind them, but and open up the passing game. But the fakes, you know, any fool can tell they're not handing the ball off to them, and if they do, it just seems that they just run right into the backs of his blockers. Like so many times Morrow just runs forward and runs right into the back of his blockers, and in his style of running, he's more of a scat back, and if there's no hole, or they should try to get him outside. They did try to throw to him a couple times, and then he got whacked right away. It was no offense. They weren't on the field long enough to establish anything. I felt sorry for Jake. You know, it's a learning experience, that's for sure, big time. And playing against that loud a crowd is very difficult. And a proof in point is when they tried to gamble midfield. At that point, you had to gamble. 3rd and 1, long one. Yeah, you could see that the offensive line didn't even start at the same time, and they got stopped big time. And you know, it's hard with all that. That's a crowd noise thing. You take your advantage of knowing the stop count out of it. I don't know. A lot of people, again, coaches. As soon as you lose coaches, maybe the only thing you could fault them is not motivating them enough, getting them ready for the game or something like that. But you know, maybe it was a poor call. We didn't get enough plays to even say if our offense had bad calls. I have to watch the game again to have a good look at it. Let me tell you, I'll be watching this one a couple times back to see what the hell went on. Where is he, right? I don't see him. Huh? Is he up there? Ah, come on. I don't see him. I hope that Kelly can come back and give him some strength for the Edmonton game. If not, I would really be pulling for that Jordan Tucker to get a chance. You know, bring him off the practice roster. Hopefully he's recovered enough. Coop, that council, he's not my man at all. I feel he's got beat too easily. Yeah, back to that running game with the front seven. You know, if the front seven doesn't stop that running game, you're screwed, and you know you're in big trouble when your safety forward is making the tackles on the runs. You go, oh my God, he's coming in and making the tackles. Everybody's just took a little chip off the Oliveira, and poor little Ford has to come up and make the tackle. I'm amazed that he made it through. He laid some really good hits on. The best running I've seen was with that Bertrand Hudson. I like the looks of him. You know, he might be the answer in the future for us. He's a hard running back, and he lays some licks on when he gets hit. And every time he does, he seems to be a little bit hurt, and he comes off shaking, but he runs hard. He might be the future in the back there. He was our draft pick this season. I hope we can develop him. Be handy to have a Canadian at running back like Oliveira. I hate to keep harping on the roughing, but there was so many crazy calls. I watched every one of those games this weekend, and it was just so many baloney calls. It was unbelievable. The one that really couldn't understand is Beglington, Calgary, takes a really good hook right at the Edmonton player, hits him right smash in the helmet, which is stupid on his part. What's he gonna hurt? He's gonna hurt his hand, not the guy's head. But it's still a punch, and no call, no kicked out. Earlier game, same day, where Austin Mack for Montreal got booted out, and his punch wasn't near as bad, and it was the command center that called it. You know, he was right out of the game. And this game with Beglington, I don't know if the ref didn't see it, but surely the command center saw it. It was obvious, and no call. And then poor Edmonton, poor Calgary, at the end of the game, that was a big call that I never thought was even close to pass interference. You know, the guy couldn't have caught the ball, and he didn't barely touch him. And that call pass interference. Of course, Dickinson there from Calgary challenges it. I figured, oh, is he going to win this? They don't like turning over something that they've already called on the field. And lo and behold, they don't. The call on the field stands. Complete bullshit. You know, that's a game-changing call. You got to get those right, and they didn't, as far as I'm concerned. You got to let the defensive backs play a bit, and he may have touched him a bit before the ball got there, but regardless, the ball wasn't catchable. Wasn't even close to catchable. You know, the NFL, that would never ever happen. And lo and behold, Edmonton has enough time to kick the field goal after that, and you lose the game. I'd be so pissed off if I was Calgary. You know, I got no saying. I was glad that Calgary lost, so they stay behind us, but it was still a baloney call. They have to get more consistent. Their consistency is what's killing them. You know, it's either kicked out or not kicked out when you throw a punch, and to me, they gotta let a little bit of that go too. You know, this is a hard, rough sport. There's lots of pushing and shoving. Like, I can agree if you hook the guy, but like I said, probably end up hurting yourself more than the player you're punching. But if you're really intent to injure, I can see tossing them out of the game. But you're not going to injure them with a punch, that's for sure. It's part of the game as far as I'm concerned. But whichever way they call it, they got to call it the same all over. Not one good for one and good for the other. A lot of people say riders get a raw deal, but I think it's pretty even all around. A lot of teams get raw deals by the ref. Even Toronto today game, the guy coach yells about that too. He says refs are ruining the game. Oh, I can see. Boy, will he get fined. Officiating gets fined for saying the same thing, but watch what happens there. See how consistent they are. That's later to come here. Be interesting for sure. That's about it for that game. The only other thing that really surprised me was when O'Shea left Caleres in after he's up that many points. Like, it would have just served him right if we would have got him down and injured him, and it almost happened once. They got through. Roscoe finally got through and laid a lick on him. I'm surprised they didn't call a penalty, which it wasn't, but they're really like protecting their baby Zach, and he got up a little bit sore. Imagine how Winnipeg would have felt if Caleres would have stayed down. That would have been something. There would have been a real hubbub, and it would have deserved them right. They didn't need any more points at all. Well, unless I think of something here later here on a long walk with the dog, I'll get back to you, and we'll see how many people are injured. I don't know if we got more injuries again. Sure the hell hope not after that performance. You know, they got totally blown out, and hopefully we don't have any more injuries and we can get a few of these guys back, especially in the old line. Need some consistency up there for this next game. Anyway, I'll talk to you all later. Thanks so much for subscribing and listening to this old timer bitch and complain about the CFL and the Roughriders. Talk about my favorite team in sports, and I'll never stop cheering for the Roughriders. Anyway, go Riders, go. Till next time, take care.